Hey guys, welcome to new episode of Masa Loves Cars channel. So today I'm at Type 1 Spoon, located in Ogikubo, Tokyo region. And why am I Toyota in a Honda Pro shop? That's the reason behind that is I'm going to install a rigid colors to my Yaris. Type 1, as you guys know, they make tons of parts for Hondas, especially the ones that you guys know, the Civic Type Rs, Integra Type Rs, S2000s, NSX, you name it. Type 1 makes all these cars parts and stuff, but they have this thing called rigid colors, and they make not only for Hondas, but also for Toyotas like my Yaris. And even they make it in rigid colors for a Toyota Hiace. Yes, a Toyota Hiace. And also like Step Wagon and Odysseys and stuff. So we're going to install the rigid colors to my Yaris, and I'm going to tell you guys what is a rigid color, what means to put a rigid colors to this car. We're gonna go upstairs and check out some parts. You guys get ready for it because I'm going to install, not me, but we're going to install a rigid colors to this Yaris, and this Yaris is gonna be extra better than what was the original factory spec. So come on, let's go. Whoa. This to my car. It's just so rad and cool. So yeah, these are the instructions for the install for the rigid colors right here, which is cool. The subframe points for the Yaris is 8 points, 4 on each side, as you can tell. Hey. ここだよね。この部分ということですよね。ここの部分とか。
根元の部分ね。
ここか。
ちょうど根元の。
ここの部分ですよね。
一番太くなってるですね。
うん。ここのこうカットする技術っていうのもやっぱり難しいですもんね。
難しいですね。難しいのもありますし、それを量産するところもあったりします。はい。
面白いのが、Made in USA. Made in USA. So we just got to explain about the rigid collars and stuff. So go to talk to you guys on downstairs in a real car. Yes, that's my car. To explain it a little bit with Obana-san, which is the head of director of rigid colors in Spoon. But yes, so we're at the second floor. This is where all the Spoon cars and also the customer cars are getting maintained. We have a somewhat of customer cars, including all the Civics. And the top one, that Civic over there, is actually, it's a renovation car and it's for sale. Might be my next car. But yeah, we have a FD2, N1, EK4 Civic SIR, and EK9 over there. But it's really interesting that not only Type 1 does the tuning, not just for Hondas. Of course, Honda's their tradition, so they do a lot of Honda stuff. But not only that, but they do stuff for other manufacturers like Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Nissan, Mazda, you name it. So we're going to install the rigid colors finally. So yeah, let's go downstairs. So now we're gonna put the car on the lift, check what's underneath. It's actually my second time seeing the car underneath, but this is first time to go my camera underneath of the car. So I'm so excited. So now we're gonna install a rigid color to my Yaris. So this time, as you guys can see, we're gonna drop the subframe here, and the bolt here, and here, and we're gonna drop the subframe by few inches, not few inches, an inch or so, and then we're gonna install the rigid colors right in between the bolts, right here and here. It's so weird to see underneath of my car. これですね。
はい。これがフロント、ちょっとすいません。今並べます、ね。
はい。So these are all the rigid colors that will be installed. This is the front one right here. This is the second front one, the front third. Like, see, you guys see here, here. So these are the rigid colors that will be put into my Yaris. And while Obana-san is taking off the necessary bolts to lower the subframe and install these, I'm going to talk to you guys quickly about what's the purpose of the rigid colors. So this is the washer, which it goes in the bottom, and this is the rigid color itself, and it will go right in between my pinky is a bolt. Here is a subframe, like so. Why does this? This is just a washer and washer combined. No, it's not that simple. Basically, when manufacturers install the subframe to the car, even though this GR Yaris, they have a designated production line and workers put the subframe and hand tighten them, they will have some sort of play whenever they put a bolt and tighten up. What this allows you to basically, they will go straight up to its body and then tightens it so the bolt will go through properly up towards to the body. For example, when car is moving forward, the tires put a power to the ground, and they will, if they have a play in between the subframe, then the power cannot go through the ground properly. But when you install these and make the bolt and subframe entwine with the body, when they put a acceleration and a torque to the ground, they will have a lack of play, thus the car can move basically forward more efficiently. So this is basically like a corset onto your hips. So whenever there's less corset, when they have more play, then you cannot go, whenever you want to go forward, you have a play. But if you have a lesser play, and if you fix the corset, it will allow you to go forward much more easier and smoothly. This is not just to enhance your ride comfort or to fix the manufacturing play. Also, it can put a traction to the ground more efficiently. So it's basically kind of like enhancing the OEM standard, which is the one that I want, because this car doesn't need a lot of power or a lot of torque, and it's already good out of the box. I think it's safe to say this is a better solution for not just this high performance machine, but also for your general commuter cars as well. And I think the general commuter cars can tell more because they have more play whenever they install the subframes and whatnot. So, but hopefully we can find out when we install this. So let's go. I think that's a turbo right there, but look, That's a GR logo on the turbo. Yeah, looking in depth to the car, and you can tell all these adhesives that is onto the car. Just this car is a very special car because it has a 12 meters more of a structural adhesive to the car. Thus it strengthens the body. It is so weird to see the underbody of the car up close in person. Oh yeah, and that's the Bilstein adjustable coilovers that is made in Germany. So this is not a Bilstein OEM that suspension that you guys see on some of the Subaru models. Here and here, this will go into this bolt right here, like so, like this. You will see it after we install it, but before that, it will be like this.
Okay. こんな感じです。
チョコレートみたい。
で、これで入れていく。
おー。
で、あとは、この車の下のワッシャーはグリスを塗ってもあんまり意味がないので、このまま。
へー、おー。こうなんだ。ほうほうほう。
で、一応、純正のワッシャーってもともとあるんですけど、ワッシャー抜け止めがあるんです。で、一応、ワッシャーの位置とカラーを間に挟んで、こっちを潰します。こっちもちょっと潰れるというか伸びるんですけど、スチールでちょっとやっぱ伸びすぎちゃうところもあるので、単純にボルトを閉まった時になるべくスリップさせないように。はい。ということで、この1枚を下にわざと入れてます。はい。まあ、ワッシャーで、要は、ここのブレ幅下げるっていう感じのイメージです。はい。で、穴埋めはこっちです。これがメインです。
なるほど、なるほど。We had a little bit of issue putting the subframe onto the car, where the subframe is not fully aligned with the rigid color's color. But the rigid color's color, the color is actually properly entwined with the body. So the subframe, the bottom black part, is not fully aligned to the proper factory spec, but it was okay for factory because of they're already calculating that amount of play and differences. But when we install the rigid collars, as you guys can see, the bolt and this body has to be straightened, properly straightened. Thus, they cannot accept that play. So what we do is we kind of force it in to the subframe in contact with the bolt itself. So what we're happening is basically the Yaris is pretty much kind of common because of how the weight of the engine is put into the subframe, and it's kind of having a little bit of play even more. So what we did is basically this is not only good for just the putting in the traction, but also for the longevity purposes. This will be really good for the body and subframe as well. So glad that we put it before. It will go up, rack up so many more miles to the car. So this rigid collar is actually very unique. Has a notch right in the center. This is so you could crack it and put it in to the subframe right there with like some of the bolts that you cannot take it off. You could use this to install it, which is cool. So we were trying to install one of the part for the rear rigid colors, but actually, because the car had a little bit of play in between subframe, this is how it should have been. But when we installed it on the left rear side, kind of warped, and thus it created like this hump right here. And this is really common for all the Yaris chassis. Is what happened was, due to slightly warpage in a subframe, which is like a millimeter of warpage, couldn't install it properly like this. So it actually kind of warped towards to the right side, left rear side. Thus, it created this massive gouge right in the color. So this is what happens. Even though my car is technically brand new, but even like almost brand new condition, the chassis kind of twists this much. And this twist, if we correct it by installing the colors, it will get better ride quality. So now we got a properly installed again, and I can't wait to drive my Yaris on the road. So this part right here, the rigid color, is made out of aluminum, but the thickness of this color is actually specifically 1.5 millimeters, and they've been tested out all these different chassis with different variations of the thickness of the color, but they found out that 1.5 millimeter width is actually better suited for majority of the car's chassis. If you have like 3 millimeters of thickness to this area right here, then it tends to lower down the car. Thus, the ride height will be a little bit more higher than your original factory specifications. But for some cars, that will not really good suited for the application. So it's good to find out the 1.5 millimeter thickness is actually quite good. And the tapered shape right here, what I've heard from Jomoto-San, he's the mastermind of rigid color, is actually the thickness supposed to be, the tapered shape supposed to be more I guess more straight up, but they recently shaped it a little bit like shape of like a mountain, because like some of the application, for instance like my Yaris, it cannot be put straight up properly. So that's this shape, the rigid color's shape in an angle of this taper has been made. And what I've heard is basically, if it's tapered more, then it will be more like, I guess, wobbly. But this is like a good mix of between a properly installing it with lesser play, but with a little bit of forgiveness to the color. So now all the front and back side of the colors are now installed, and I guess it's a good way to start driving. So we are a few hours after we installed the rigid colors to the car, and right off the bat I could tell like that this car is transformed decently, that you will notice it right away. For instance, when we turn the steering wheel feels a little bit more heavier, and you can tell with the car absorbs bumps is actually more smoother than what was before. Like before, it was a bit jarring in some point, which is, I found it out as a characteristics of this car. But like immediately when you go onto the bumps, like for instance, hopefully we could find some part. We could go for some bumps, but let's go here a little bit quickly. Oh, it absorbed quite nicely. Like, oh, yes. Okay, well, that will be a massive bump right up ahead. Go a little bit aggressively. See? The way the car absorbs the bumps is actually quite smoother than what was before, and completely didn't change the characteristics of the car. It kind of made the car feel more entwined and also freshens up a bit, if that makes sense. Let's conclude the video for today. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much from Jomoto-San and Obana-san from Type 1 Spoon for hooking it up to the Yaris to install the rigid colors. They're really good, and I really highly recommend you guys to install rigid colors in a correct way. Don't over tighten it correct way, and you will be all said and done. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on our next vlog. Peace out. またね